Hey guys, I'm cmasupra and welcome to another Company of Heroes 2 multiplayer video. It has been a long time since I made one of these. I know it's been at least a couple of weeks because I haven't made one since the Western Front armies were released. As a result, that means that this is going to be my first Western Front armies Company of Heroes 2 video. So in this video, I'm going to be playing as the Americans, and my opponent's going to be playing as the Oberkommando West, and these are the two new factions that were added in the Western Front Armies expansion pack. The map that we're playing on is not a new map at all, it's Kolodny Firma. This map has been in the game since the beginning of the game itself, and so there's nothing new there. But we will be seeing both of the new factions that were added in the Western Front Armies expansion pack in this game. So the squad that I have here is the squad that you start off with as the Americans, and this is a rear echelon troops squad, and I just have them going around capturing points. They can't really build base buildings because as the Americans, all your base buildings are actually already built, which is a different twist on a faction that I've never seen before in Company of Heroes or Company of Heroes 2. They're really bad at doing much of anything, so I might as well have them capping some points and scouting for me, sorta kinda. Now you saw that my opponent also brought a truck over to me, and that truck is something that the Oberkommando West starts with, and they can turn it into a base building to build units out of it. So my opponent brought it over to me, he basically just came up to me, said hi, I shot at him, and then he left. I don't know what he was doing with the truck, maybe he was scouting to see if I was going to capture the cutoff point that was right there, and now he knows that I did capture it. I don't know if that's what he was doing, but he now has that intel, so I gotta keep that in mind as I'm playing the game. So my build order as the Americans is currently 3 riflemen in a row out of tier 1, or the HQ, which I guess is really tier 1 as the Americans. So riflemen are your basic infantry units as the Americans. They're basically like riflemen from Company of Heroes 1 Americans, except that instead of being good at close range, they're good at medium range. At close range, they're about equal with Volksgrenadiers, which is the main fighting unit of the Oberkommando West. Ooh, ow, that hurt. I hit my desk. And at long range, the riflemen will easily lose against Volksgrenadiers unless they have green cover, and the Volksgrenadiers just don't have any cover at all. So riflemen are good at medium range, that's basically what I'm getting at, and they're not good at all at long range. Now, in the south here, you can see I'm going to have 2 units fighting a single Volksgrenadier squad that my opponent has. In the north here, I have 2 enemies fighting me. It's 1 Stern Pioneer squad and 1 Volksgrenadier squad fighting my rifle squad. I'm guaranteed to lose that, so I'm going to retreat here pretty soon, but I was hoping to do some damage to the Volksgrenadier squad before I had to retreat, because Volksgrenadiers I find are actually pretty bad at fighting. In the south here, I'm obviously winning because I have 2 squads against 1 that my opponent had, and it was also at medium range where my rifles excelled against his Volksgrenadiers, so I won that fight easily. So those are 2 pretty decisive fights, but I do have map control in my favor despite losing 1 fight and winning 1 fight. I guess that's just because the Oberkommando West is more of a sort of kind of turtling faction. You can play them as a non-turtling faction, just like you can play the British and Company of Heroes 1 as a non-turtling faction, but the Oberkommando West is more of a turtling faction than any other faction in Company of Heroes 2. You just don't have to play them as turtling. My opponent's just choosing to do so. So here I have a new squad. It's an assault engineer squad, and you can see they have a flamethrower. I bought the flamethrower for 60 munitions, and I wanted them to be really good at close range, which is why I bought them. This is actually a doctrinal unit. The Americans do not get engineers at all if you do not go with Armor Company to get these assault engineers, and that sounds like a bad thing. Like, you need engineers, what are you going to do without engineers? How are you going to repair vehicles? But the Americans really don't need engineers. The reason I went with Armor Company is partially because I wanted to get these assault engineers so I could have a unit that's really good at close range. Because like I was saying earlier, riflemen are not good at close range or long range, they're good at medium range. And so I wanted to have a unit that was good at close range, and I also wanted a flamethrower, and so I decided to go with assault engineers from Armor Company. The other reason I picked Armor Company is for the 2 tanks that it gets at 7 CPs and 9 CPs. It's an M10 and a Sherman Bulldozer. I'm going to lose his rifle squad, aren't I? Oh, my opponent dodged my grenade. Oh, well, that's the rifle squad dead. I also lost another rifle squad at some point, although I don't know where, because I know I had 3 of them at one point. Now I only have 1. I don't know where the other one went, but apparently I lost 2 rifle squads, so that's not good for me. So as I was trying to say earlier, before my throat got all clogged up or whatever, assault engineers are really good at close range because they have Tommy submachine guns, and I can also upgrade them with a flamethrower for 60 munitions. And the other useful thing that I find with them is they can lay down anti-tank mines, which cost only 5 munitions, which is very, very nice. It's nice and cheap. You can place a lot of them everywhere, and hopefully your opponent doesn't find them. Um, at 5 munitions, though, they are really cheap, but cheap means that they are going to be bad. These anti-tank mines will only explode if a vehicle runs over them, but they're not going to do any kind of damage, really. I mean, I've even seen a Puma run over 3 in a row and take no damage, so they really don't do much in terms of damage. But what they do is let you know if a vehicle's coming, because if an enemy vehicle runs over one of your anti-tank mines, it'll appear on the minimap and appear in game as well. And so you'll then know that an enemy vehicle is coming from that spot wherever it ran over the mine, and it's a good way to know if your opponent has vehicles. So you might have seen me laying a couple of mines earlier with the assault engineers, which is why I wanted to mention that, and I will be laying a lot more this game as well. So while I was explaining that, there was a lot of fighting going on in the middle. You can see at the top right corner, my rear echelon troops are retreating. Rear echelon troops were part of the fight against the Stern Pioneers, but rear echelon troops are just horrible, horrible units, only good at recruiting vehicles and, I guess, capping points as well. So they had to retreat, but my rifle squad is doing fine, and I also now have a lieutenant on the field. So, the reason I bought a lieutenant is because you have to buy either a lieutenant, a captain, or a major to unlock tiers 2, 3, and 4, in that order. For tier 2, you have to buy a lieutenant. For tier 3, you have to buy a captain. For tier 4, you have to buy a major. This could be a nice grenade here. I did buy grenades in the barracks, by the way, which is why I have grenades. Oh, that was a good grenade. Alright, so I got a lieutenant, and that's because I wanted to unlock tier 2. And at the top right corner, you can see that I'm currently building an M20, which is a vehicle from tier 2. It's one of the 2 vehicles available. One's the AA half-track, which costs a decent amount of fuel, and the other one is an M20, which does not cost as much fuel. I believe it's 20 fuel for that versus 65 for the AA half-track, although I could be wrong. But I have an M20. I wanted the M20 because I wanted a vehicle to deal with my opponent's infantry easier, because I'm not doing too good of a job of dealing with them. As you saw, I mean, I lost 2 rifle squads in the early game. That's a horrible, horrible thing to do. So my M20 is out. It's fighting an MJ squad and Stern Pioneers when suddenly an AT gun appears. Oh my gosh, run away. And I end up losing the M20 to the AT gun, which is a Rocketenwerfer, by the way. It's a really cheap AT gun that the Oberkommando West get access to. So I lost an M20, and now I'm building another one. And you can see I'm also placing down some AT mines in the northern part of the map there. So I partially lost the M20 because of me and my just bad micro, I guess. But the other reason was I thought I clicked close enough behind the M20 to where it would reverse. But something I've noticed with the American vehicles is they have really bad pathing. I'm pretty sure that this is intentional because veterancy level 2, I believe it is. I don't know if it's 1, 2, or 3, but I believe it's veterancy level 2. Improves the pathing of American vehicles when they reach veterancy 2 or whatever it is. So I'm pretty sure it's intentional that American vehicles path badly, which is an odd mechanic in the game. It's like your crews know how to drive the vehicle better once they get veterancy, which I guess makes sense, but that's usually been implemented by making them drive faster, not by making them drive smarter. Now they drive smarter when you get Vet 2, so they have bad pathing when you don't have veterancy, which is kind of weird, and I'm not used to that yet. I feel like I'm making excuses for why I lost an M20, but I'm really not trying to. Anyways, my second M20 is now out on the field, and it's attacking a Stern Pioneer squad. You can see that I also have a second vehicle in the top left corner. That is an ambulance, and what the ambulance does is allow me to heal my units wherever the ambulance may be. I can also take the crew out of the ambulance by pressing T, and they'll act as medics, just like the Soviet medics that they get in their base. I have placed the ambulance in my base, just because it makes the most sense, and I don't have to keep moving it around and keep track of where it is and make sure it doesn't die. It is quite an expensive unit. I think it's 250 manpower and some fuel, maybe like 10 fuel. So it's a decent price for healing. So yeah, I got an ambulance, I can heal my units now, which is nice. The weird thing about the ambulance, though, is... Oh, that was a bad grenade. Do not lose the squad. Do not lose the lieutenant. Oh yes, they got away, and Sturm Pioneers here. Not Sturm Pioneers. Assault Engineers are here just in time to save the day. Oh, I lost that Assault Engineer squad, darn. Oh well, at least I made this Volksgrenadier squad retreat. As I was saying, though, the ambulance has kind of a weird mechanic. You have to click a button to make it actually heal units, and then it has a cooldown where it can't heal units, and then you have to make it heal units again once the cooldown's finished. It's kind of weird like that. I'm not sure what the purpose of it is, because it's free to heal your units. I guess it's just so that it's not a constant healer, I guess is the point. I'm not really sure. I don't know, but it's kind of weird like that. You just gotta click the button, or hit the key, which is D on the keyboard, if you're not using grid keys. Ooh, that was a good grenade. That turned the tide of that fight. And my opponent's forced to retreat, especially because I got Vet 2 right there. That is awesome. You may have noticed with this Assault Engineer squad that I was actually building some more anti-tank mines in the south of the map, just because I do want the indicator. I mean, I had a decent number of munitions. Now I only have 33, but I had a decent number of munitions, and I guess I'm even planting more anti-tank mines because I just want to know when a vehicle's coming, and I'm hoping that it'll do damage to whatever vehicle it may be. Sturm Pioneer squad forced my rifle squad there to retreat. My assault engineers will hopefully destroy them with the flamethrower. We'll have to see if that happens. M20 is taking care of a Sturm Pioneer squad in the north of the map. Sturm Pioneers are so strong, and it's not a doctrinal unit either. It's part of the normal, whatever you call it, normal buildings that you can build. You know what I mean. So there is a Puma on the field, as you might have seen, and this is where the AT mines are really nice. I was able to know that a Puma was on its way. I could move my M20 out of the way in time, although realistically the Puma would have killed my M20 if he had continued moving past that bush that he stopped at. But whatever, I knew that he was coming. I know my opponent has a Puma on the field now, and so that is great. I did just flank an MG, forced it to retreat. I'm not sure why it was facing the Sherman wreck where it can't even fire anyways. That was a little bit weird. Can I kill off this rocket inverter crew? That would be nice. Just to kill some men. Let's use a grenade from the Lieutenant Squad. Lieutenant Squad's even Vet 2, which is very nice. There we go. Rocket inverter squad is dead, and now it's time to retreat. So, yeah, Lieutenants are actually really strong fighting units. Out of the three upper command units, the Lieutenant, the Captain, and the Major is the weakest, but it can act as a mobile retreat point, so your units will retreat to it wherever it is on the map. The Captain has a bazooka that it comes with, and the Lieutenant has a BAR that it comes with. Now you can upgrade rifles with BARs as well, but I don't really feel like it's worth it because it is 60 munitions, and that's a lot of munitions to spend on a single squad for an upgrade, in my opinion, so I don't really do that, but you can do it for rifles and make them strong like the Lieutenant is strong, but I prefer to just use the Lieutenant's BAR when attacking heavy infantry. Now this could be bad. I was assaulting some Fallschirmjägers, which shows that my opponent has gone with the Luftwaffe doctrine, and he brought his Puma over here to deal with my M20 after Panzerfausting me with the Fallschirmjägers, so my M20 is now slow. My Riflemen over there do have AT grenades, but these are not homing AT grenades. Once you click on a vehicle, it will the AT grenade will land wherever you clicked, not wherever the vehicle may be at that point in time. So I gotta be sure the Puma is not moving when I fire it. So I do fire the AT grenade, and it actually hits the wreck in front of my Riflemen. That was wonderful. That was a waste of munitions. Oh well. The Puma was going to get away anyways. I just wanted to do some damage to it before it got away. But oh well. So I did buy myself a Captain, as you can see in the top right corner. The Captain does have the bazooka, and the Captain unlocks Tier 3, which gives me access to AT guns. So I've now bought myself an AT gun to help deal with the Puma, as well as I've also bought myself an M10 Wolverine tank destroyer, which is the tank that you see in front of you. Now this unit is doctrinal, but there is an alternative to it in Tier 3, at least I think it's Tier 3, maybe it's Tier 4, it's one of the two. But there is an alternative to it, the M36 Jackson, which is basically just a better M10. It has a longer range and does more damage, but it also costs more. I went with the M10 just because I have not unlocked Tier 4 yet, and if it was part of Tier 3, it's just cheaper to get the M10. The M10 is just flat out cheaper, so I figured I'd go with the M10. And so I've gone with an M10, it'll deal with the Puma pretty easily, I don't need the Jackson for that. I would need the Jackson if my opponent gets some really heavy tanks and the AT gun plus M10 combo can't deal with them. But for now, the M10 is good enough, along with the AT gun. I should really make sure I do not lose this Lieutenant squad in the middle, that would be really bad. And I guess while I'm while I'm fighting in the middle, I actually have my sole rear echelon troop squad capturing points in the background, in the north. It is fighting a Sturm Pioneer squad up there though, and it's guaranteed to lose that fight. Sturm Pioneers are just way too good, and rear echelon troops are just way too bad. There's no way I'm going to win that fight. But I might as well stick around there and try to lure my opponent's Sturm Pioneers away from the point, but I didn't do that sadly. I was forced to retreat without doing much damage, and without keeping my opponent from capturing that VP, which is not good for me, because I am down to 229 VPs, and I'm about to be triple capped, so that's not looking good at all. So I sent my M20 up there to deal with the Sturm Pioneers, because Sturm Pioneers do not have any form of AT, and then I send my M10 in front of my AT gun here in the middle, because the Sturm Pioneers were trying to attack my AT gun with their submachine guns, and that was just not acceptable. I couldn't allow that, and so luckily my M10 forced it to retreat. Now I do still have my AT gun protecting my M10, so if my opponent decides to charge my M10 with his Puma or something, then my AT gun will protect it, and I will definitely win that fight. A lot of low health squads right now, which is not good. But at least I'm kinda sorta winning this fight in the middle. Sweet, I'm at 9 CPs, and Sherman bulldozers are now available, if I could actually afford one, which I cannot do right now. My AT gun is way too far forward. I was moving it up because I thought my captain squad was going to survive there, but it didn't, and so I had to back it up now. So here's something smart to do. You cannot capture a point with the vehicle as the Americans in this game, but you can remove you can have the crew exit the vehicle, and then the crew acts as an infantry squad. And so what I did there was I got the crew out of the M20 to have them try and capture the victory point. But sadly, my opponent showed up with the Puma there, so I just had to immediately get back into the vehicle. But I was trying to capture the victory point there. Sadly, it just didn't go well for me. I guess I should also mention that the vehicle crew inside the M20, and this is unique only for the M20 crew, not any other vehicle crew, they get a bazooka, as you can see here. So if you ever need some form of AT from an M20, you can just have the vehicle crew exit the M20, and then suddenly you have a bazooka right there to deal with whatever may be attacking you, whether that's a Puma or something else. I could have stayed outside the M20 at the victory point, but I didn't want to lose the M20, so I had to get the crew into the M20 so I could reverse the M20. Because I don't have a rear echelon troop squad in there or any other squad in the vehicle. Instead I have the normal tank crew in there. This Puma's doomed, getting shot at by an M10 and a tank destroyer. Wait, what? An M10 and an anti-tank gun. There we go. And it is just dead. Nice fiery effects coming out of the turret. So that Puma is dead, which is awesome. Although my opponent may have a second one, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was the same one that was in the middle and in the north at that VP, or if it was two different ones. I really have no idea. This M10 could be in bad shape though right now. This is not good for the M10 with a lot of infantry charging it. Not good for the AT gun either. So I send in my lieutenant into close range with the BAR. I throw a grenade on the Fallschirmjägers because they are a big threat. The Volksgrenadiers are retreating, which is great. The Fallschirmjägers don't retreat. Oh, there they go. They're retreating now. That grenade was really nice. The Fallschirmjägers keep going in and out of camo, which is something I would imagine they probably should not do when retreating because they're running at full speed. I'm pretty sure somebody like that is pretty obvious, but whatever. Kind of like a sniper being in the middle of an open road and red cover in Company of Heroes 1, but still being cloaked, right? So this is not looking good for me. I have very little map control. I am triple capped in terms of victory points. This could be really bad. I may end up losing this game. I'm going to lose this Lieutenant squad if it does not get lucky here. Oh good, it got lucky and went the good retreat path, away from the enemies. So you can see I am repairing the M10 at the very, very top of the screen there with my tank crew. And then I'm going to have them go back into the M10 once they're done. Ambulance is doing its job. I have bought myself a M1 75mm pack howitzer, which is really just a mortar for the Americans. It's a really expensive mortar. It's 480 manpower to get it, but it is a really good mortar. It is very accurate and very deadly when it hits. You can easily kill off full squads with this thing. It is very good. It'll take like 2 hits to kill off a full squad, but it's still very, very good. Far more damaging than any other mortar in the game. So I like this unit a lot, but of course you will have to support it, and it is expensive, so you gotta be careful. But I do like the unit a lot, so I got one for myself because I figured my opponent has a lot of MGs, it'd be really good to get some indirect fire, and so that was the unit of choice. Now, my opponent was trying to attack me there with some infantry, but he changed his mind for some reason. I honestly have no idea why he changed his mind. There was nothing threatening from me, although it did give me a chance to turn around my MG that I bought earlier. Now, he did kill my M10 with the Panzer Shrek, sadly, but I have bought myself a Sherman Bulldozer, which is the other doctrinal tank that you get with Armor Company. So this unit has a bulldozer on the front, which actually increases the armor, it seems, because it seems like a lot of German units have some trouble penetrating this thing, including Panzer Shreks, which is very nice. So it's very durable as a Sherman, and it also has a very good gun against light vehicles, such as the Puma, like that, and against infantry, because it has a stubby 105mm gun, which does a lot of splash damage, and that is just very, very useful at this point in the game, because my opponent does not have any form of heavy tanks. My opponent was kind of mad about that, as you might have seen, so it's just like, why did you stick around with your Puma? You should have backed up. He didn't mean to, that is why. Well, that's what happens when you forget a unit, or you misclick. You end up losing that unit. So this is not good for my opponent up here in the north. I have a rear echelon troop squad, which really isn't going to do much of anything. I have an M20, which is going to do a lot against infantry, and I also have the captain squad, which has the bazooka, which will do a lot against tanks. So the top VP I have captured, and it is, it's okay. It's under my control right now, which is great. I dodged that grenade nice and easily. Grenade on my opponent now. Is he going to move? He is going to move, and I'm going to be forced to retreat here. Take the good path. Oh yes, I got lucky there. I am so glad they did not run into the Fallschirmjäger squad, which I was afraid they would do. That's a Vet 3 Lieutenant squad. It would have been very bad to lose that squad. So I am down to 25 victory points, as you can see. I only have the top VP. My opponent's capturing the bottom VP, and he has the middle VP. So I need to make sure he does not capture the bottom VP, or if he does, I need to capture it back for myself. So what I'm doing here is I'm sending my Sherman Bulldozer to the bottom VP, and I'm hoping to be able to kill any infantry there, and then I'll use the tank crew from the Sherman to actually capture the point, and I just got very lucky there. Wow. I ran over 3 of the men in that Fallschirmjäger squad just by accident. I didn't even do that intentionally. And then I killed the last guy just before he finished capping the point, so I got very lucky there. So now I have the tank crew capturing the point, as you can see, and if any enemies show up at the point, I will have to get them back into the tank, as vehicle crews are very weak units. So I don't want to lose the crew, because then the tank will be abandoned at full health, and it'll be free for my opponent to take me, to take the tank rather. And as you can see here, enemy infantry showed up. I had to get back into the tank before I could finish capturing the point. And now my opponent has some Panzer Shreks here and Panzer Faust. Oh, that must have hurt. Kill off the Vet 3 squad. Kill it off. Oh, so close. So close, Sherman. Oh no, here's a Puma. This is not an AT gun on my Sherman. It's an anti-infantry gun. Hopefully I can still take care of the Puma. even with the Panzerschreck firing at me. Oh gosh, that's even a Vet 4 squad. Oberkommando West units can go up to Vet 5, so they're very good in the late game with high veterancy levels. Oh my gosh, this is not looking good for me. Kill off the Puma. Oh, my Sherman missed. Oh, it was so close to killing off the Puma. So my Sherman is now dead, and I'm pretty sure a Puma is cheaper than a Sherman Bulldozer. Sherman Bulldozers are very expensive. So that was not a good trade-off for me, but at least I did kill off a lot of my opponent's infantry, which will hurt his manpower slightly, and hopefully kind of balance out the manpower, even if it doesn't balance out the fuel. I do want to get another Sherman Bulldozer before this game is over, though, because that would be a really good unit to have against all my opponent's infantry and his buildings that are sitting right behind that house next to the middle VP. You can see them there. My opponent's Puma still appears to be here, although it might be leaving. I am sending one of my MGs that I bought, one of the 50 cals or 30 cals or whatever it is, to the southern VP. Oh. That was anticlimactic. I was expecting a big explosion from the mortar. Oh, that's a Storm Pioneer squad dead. Oh yes, that is so satisfying because they are so good at close range. Even at long range, they're pretty decent. Mortar's going to work on the unit in the house. I've noticed that this mortar doesn't actually seem to do very much against houses, despite being a 75mm mortar. And I keep calling it a mortar. I know it's a howitzer, it's a pack howitzer, but it's a mortar to me because it fires like a mortar. It does not fire like artillery. Oh, that was a nice grenade. I managed to save the middle VP there. Now I need to deal with the MG-34 sitting in the house, not to be confused with an MG-42, even though they are exactly the same as far as pretty much anything is concerned. The Wehrmacht, otherwise known as the Austere, get MG-42s, while the Oberkommando West get MG-34s. Mortar's going to work on the house still. I believe I have an MG sitting in the church there. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that's what I have sitting in the church there, so that'll be very handy with preventing my opponent from getting close like he's trying to do here. What are you doing with your Vet 3 Volksgrenadier squad? You got so lucky that I had a wreck of some tank there. Oh, well, there goes that squad. He's dropped the Panzerschreck and my opponent has left, and here comes the victory artillery. I don't have any other victory things unlocked, if there are even any other ones in the game. So there we go. I won at the pretty much close to the end, because I was triple capped there. I was down to 25 VPs at one point, 23 at the very end of the game. So that was pretty close, but I managed to pull a comeback out of it. So that was... This is kind of an odd thing at the end of the game. I guess I should explain it, and I probably have to figure something out to do for videos here. I don't know what. Right now I'm just using game paused, because you can no longer just have the game end, and then you can just browse the map and see what units your opponent had, see what units you had, things like that. Instead, you have to say continue playing, in which case you're essentially playing against an AI, and then you have to pause the game, which is what I've done here. If you want to just browse the map, but you still can't see what units your opponent had, which is very annoying. But you can see a couple of the units my opponent had, which were a Puma and a Raketentwerfer. I don't think he had very much left at all by the end of that game, as you will see by the ending screenshots that I want to show you of the graphs. But I managed to pull a comeback out of that, eliminated a lot of my opponent's forces, a lot of vetted Volksgrenadiers. I know I've killed a Vet 4 Volksgrenadier squad. Or maybe it was Vet 3 or 4, I don't know which one it was, but that was a lot of Vet to lose for my opponent. Sherman Bulldozers did a lot of work, especially the first one. The second one didn't really do much of anything, but the first one definitely did. Mortar did a lot, Vet 1. AT Gun is Vet 3, so I don't know what that did. Lieutenant is also Vet 3. I know it killed a lot of infantry and did a lot of fighting because it's a very good unit for anti-infantry purposes. But I think that's really all I need to say, or have to say, at the ending screen here. So let's go on to the screenshots that I wanted to show you guys. So here is the army value graph that I wanted to show you guys, and as you can see, towards the beginning of the game, my opponent had a better army. especially because I lost the 2 rifle squads. But then as the game went on, I finally got a bigger army than him, especially with the Sherman bulldozers, and managed to kill a lot of his units, taking his army value down. Here is the second screenshot, which is resource floating, and there's nothing really special here. We were about equal for pretty much the entire game. Whenever there was a lot of action going on, he and I both forgot to just buy units, as you can see, so we were about equal on skill level in terms of remembering to actually buy units, and in terms of resources that we had just laying around. And here is the third screenshot, or third graph that I wanted to show you guys. So as you can see, in the beginning and mid-game, the points that we held, or the number of points we held, just went back and forth between us two, but then towards the end of the game, he had pretty much the entire map, and I was just cornered into my little corner next to my base, but I still managed to somehow capture all 3 victory points and pull a victory out of that, sitting at 23 victory points remaining total. So that was pretty awesome. So let me know if you guys like me showing you guys these graphs at the end or not. Yeah, just let me know if you guys like them. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all have enjoyed this. This was my first Western Front Armies Company of Heroes 2 video, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys. I just wanted to show this video because it was just so effective to not use conscripts this game. It was actually kind of crazy how effective it was, and made me really think, should I be building conscripts when my opponent uses this strategy? Maybe I should